Hello everyone and happy Halloween! Welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Star Wars, the Black Series 6-inch Shadow Squadron, featuring Shadow Scout, Shadow Stormtrooper Commander, and Speeder Bike. Here's a look at the packaging. Why didn't they put backdrops on Black Series sooner? This looks really great, though it is kind of questionable why Shadow Troopers would be in the middle of the Death Star hangar, but either way, it looks really good. Alright, so Shadow Squadron. Over the years, Hasbro has done quite a few things with Shadow Troopers. It all started back in 2005 with the Target exclusive Yuta Pow Shadow Trooper, clone trooper figure. And from there, it just kind of sprouted, to the original trilogy figures. We started getting Shadow Stormtrooper, Shadow Scout Troopers, and so forth. And there have been quite a few. When I first heard that this set was coming out, I was like, cool, but I was sort of also like, well, 6-inch figures are twice the price of, standard 3 3/4 inch figures nowadays. I was like, do I really want to collect figures that aren't in the movies or aren't in the Clone Wars or in Rebels, in 6-inch scale, especially when they're just repaints of existing figures. We already have a repaint of Boba Fett, the prototype Boba Fett. We have a repaint coming of Sand Trooper with a different pauldron. We have different versions of the Clone Troopers that are coming out shortly. So Hasbro's already kicked things in high gear with the repaints. And ultimately I just decided that, hey, 6-inch is way awesome. If you've been watching my videos for any length of time, you know that I'm pretty into 6-inch with other lines too, like DC Universe Classics and Marvel Legends. So 6-inch is a really cool scale, and I don't think anything could ever replace basic size Star Wars figures, but what figures are costing us, I think 6-inch is probably, for me, going to be the way to go for the most part. So for that reason, I decided to go ahead and collect all the 6-inch figures that are mass released. So let's go ahead and kick things off here with our Shadow Squadron. So I'd been watching the Target website to see when they were coming into stock, and luckily it looks like all of the stores in my area received shipments of this yesterday. So before I went to, I made sure to hit up my local Target before I went to school, and luckily they had quite a few of these on one of the end caps. And I sifted through them, trying to find the best paint job, the best figures that didn't have bent visors or anything like that. And I walked out with this set. It cost me $50, which is a little bit hefty. But when you consider that you can pay $40 and get the Speeder Bike with Biker Scout, or you can get this set here with Speeder Bike, Shadow Scout, and Shadow Stormtrooper Commander for $50, it's a pretty good value. So Shadow Scout here, quite obvious, he's a repaint of the very recent Biker Scout figure that came with the Speeder Bike. So the sculpt is exactly the same. The only thing different is that he's repainted as a Shadow Trooper. Now, like with the Speeder Bike and Biker Scout, you will want to pay attention when you are buying these sets because several of the ones I saw did have little dents in the visors up here. So, just keep an eye, sift through them, and, grab the best one. It looks good, considering that this is just a shadowed out repaint of the Scout Trooper. It actually looks really good. I like what they did with the, more glossy black armor on him, the helmet, and then they made the bodysuit more of a lighter gray color. It really makes the different parts on there stand out, and you can still appreciate the sculpt since it's not all solid glossy plastic. I really think that it turned out quite nice. When you think about it, though, I don't know how realistic it would be for them to have like a lighter gray bodysuit than just a standard Biker Scout, because wouldn't that make them a little bit less Shadow-esque? Maybe. But whatever, it looks great. And here's the comparison of the two figures. I posted a video earlier this week in which I reviewed the Speeder Bike with Biker Scout. I had a few issues with my set. As you can see there, the leg is totally out of whack. And I didn't really like the dirt that they put on the figure. With my Shadow Scout here, you can see that he doesn't really have that bad of a leg issue. Even though the Shadow Scout is more accurate to the... Even though the Biker Scout is more accurate to the film, I can't help but think that I like the Shadow Scout better. Now, Shadow Scout comes with the same gun as Biker Scout, except this one is casted in more of a lighter gray color. And it's quite simplistic, but, you know, it works and it's totally adequate for the figure. And moving right along to Shadow Stormtrooper Commander, the sculpt is obviously the same as the initial Sandtrooper figure. So you do get, you know, the unique Sandtrooper helmet and the Sandtrooper knee pad, and then a matte black pauldron. The sculpt is absolutely terrific, you know, just like with the initial Sandtrooper. He still has the little hole in the back where the backpack would go, but this one does not come with a backpack. And of course, he's painted with the Shadow Squadron colors, which is basically just black. You know, for the most part, I think it works quite well. Like with the Shadow Scout, they gave him glossy black armor, and then the bits underneath for the bodysuit are more of a grayish kind of color. And that, you know, works quite well. It's not as apparent on our figure here because unlike the Biker Scout, this one has a lot more armor on him. So you don't see the bodysuit quite as much. But, you know, looking at the helmet, I just really like what they did with the silver bits that they gave him. You know, just all the little silver accenting, and, you know, I think it really brings out those details on the figure, and, you know, the little gray bits on the side of the helmet. That just looks really, really good. And the pauldron, you know, like I said, that's also a matte black, so, you know, you can also see that a little bit better. And then, you know, there is a glossy bit to it right there underneath the chin, so I really like how they made the armor a little bit more dimensional by changing the colors around, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a visual pop. All right, and here's a comparison of the two figures. As you can see, it's quite hard to pick up blacked out figures on camera compared to the regular Sandtrooper figure. But yeah, those are the differences for you. I mean, he's obviously blacked out, you know, with the different shades of black and gray and, you know, bits of silver, so he serves his purpose as a shadow figure. I think the original version, you know, I mean, that's obviously, you know, quite iconic. I do prefer that version of the figure, but, you know, I think what they did with the Shadow Stormtrooper Commander is really, really nice, and he really does look great. You do get 3 guns with the Shadow Stormtrooper Commander. You get your standard Imperial Issue Blaster, you get this other Stormtrooper Blaster that we saw on the Death Star, and then you have the signature Sandtrooper Cannon. These are all cast in a lighter gray color compared to the originals. But with the Cannon, particularly, there's less detail on it than the original Sandtrooper version. They could have added a little more detail on these, but, you know, I like that they at least made them different. And finally, we have our speeder bike vehicle. Speeder bike is the same as the original speeder bike. It's just repainted in shadow-like colors. You have a, you know, glossy black along with some gray and, you know, pewter kind of colors. It looks quite good. The display base that I have on there is the same as the one that came on the initial release. There's not a whole lot of detail on it, unlike the original. But, you know, the fact that it is black and has, you know, the pewter gray coloring, I think makes it a little bit more visually striking in a way. I do really admire the detail in the original release, but, you know, there's something to be said for this one being, you know, characteristic of a shadow blacked out look with the Imperial logos and all. I think that looks quite nice. Get another one right there in the front. In the front of the speeder. Some nice riveting there. It looks really good. It looks really good. Even the handlebars have more detail than the original, which I'll go ahead and bring in for you. And it doesn't quite have the serious warping issue of the handlebars. I mean, they're a little bit warped, but it's not quite as significant. But, you know, you can certainly see that there's more detail on them on the new speeder bike. But, I mean, other than that, I think they both have their own pros and cons. Obviously, the initial speeder bike is movie accurate, and it's got the nice battle damage and all, but, you know, I really like this one too. I don't know that I have a preference between the two, but, you know, I think this is certainly really, really cool. And, you know, just like with the initial one, you can pop out the bottom, and, you know, the little shin gun thing right there also spins. And just like with the original, the Shadow Scout interacts quite well with his speeder bike. He sits on there pretty nicely. His rear end doesn't go all the way down to the seat. I haven't been able to get it to do that quite yet. You know, it looks really good. It definitely looks, very Shadow-esque, and, it is visually striking. I really like what they did here with the Shadow Scout and the Shadow Speeder Bike. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Star Wars 2014, the Black Series 6-inch Shadow Squadron, featuring Shadow Scout, Shadow Stormtrooper Commander, and Speeder Bike. All in all, I think this is a really good set. Like I mentioned, it's a really good value, considering that if you pay $10 more than the Biker Scout with Speeder Bike, you get a extra figure. And even though they are not movie accurate, they're still really, really cool. And I think that's always been the thing with Shadow Troopers, is that they're just plain cool. This set really emphasizes that. I think the star of the set is certainly the Shadow Scout. The way that the lighter gray and the glossier black with the silver accents are incorporated here, it really makes him stand out, and it really brings out all the little details there with the bodysuit. So, I think that's a heck of a figure. Shadow Stormtrooper Commander also looks really great. I do wonder how it would have looked if they would have used the regular Stormtrooper sculpt and gave him the pauldron and painted him up in these colors. That probably would have looked really nice as well. But, for what we got here, he does look really great. And then the speeder bike, looks quite awesome. So overall, for the price, I think this is a really good value. If you're really into trooper figures and such, I think you're really going to like this set. Even for a casual fan, I would have to imagine that this would be a really good gift. Because the figures are just really, really cool. I really like this, and I'm really happy to have it in my collection. Thanks for watching Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.